Hello class, Professor Gavin McInnes here. I've got a long seminar, so please don't sleep in my class or you're going to get a ruler to the knuckles. One of my colleagues, Professor Saida Grundy over at Boston University, recently stated, "White masculinity isn't a problem for America's colleges. White masculinity is the problem for America's colleges." She says stuff like this all the time about how we have to eradicate white maleness from college and we have to identify it as the problem. This is not unusual for professors today. This is what kids are taught, and these kids end up being our future everythings. Another professor, Noel Ignatieff at the Massachusetts College of Art, I believe, said, "The key to solving all social problems is to abolish the white race." He encourages all white males to kill themselves. Let's get away from white male and just say Westerners, okay? I am here to make the case for Western chauvinism. And I'd like to start with this book. This is the first book on your reading list. It's by Patrick J. Buchanan, and it's called The Death of the West. And a crucial passage here is on page 220. If you'll turn to page 220, I'm going to read it for you. As fair-minded and mostly Christian folks, they concede that there is truth in the indictment of America's past. Our fathers did participate in slavery. We did practice segregation. Our treatment of the Indians was not what one should have expected of people to whom the Sermon on the Mount was divine command. But, having internalized a guilt that gnaws at their souls, these Republicans, in their lifelong quest for absolution, are easy prey for confidence men like Jackson and Sharpton who run the big sting. The truth? In the story of slavery and the slave trade, Western man was among many villains, but Western man was also the only hero. For the West did not invent slavery, but it alone abolished slavery. Had it not been for the West, African rulers would still be trafficking in the flesh of their kinsmen. Slaves, after all, were the leading cash crop of the friends of Mansa Musa. In Mauritania and Sudan today, slavery has returned to the deafening silence of intellectuals who have built careers on the moral shakedown of America and the West. America was a segregated society, but in no other nation do people enjoy greater freedom, opportunity, and prosperity than here in the United States. The time for apologies is past. But if Middle America believes that capitulations and reparations will buy peace in our time, it deludes itself. If there are no more demands, the race racketeers would have to find a new line of work. But as long as the silent majority keeps acceding to their demands, they will keep on making them. Time to just say no. You see, there is some merit to this anti-white male patriarchy, but the merit is it should be directed towards the government, towards authority, not to the rest of us who are out there trying to make life better for everyone. Yet you go to these, pro-black cop rallies and they're screaming about, with Soviet signs, saying more regulation. They want bigger government. They want a police state. Occupy Wall Street was all about having the government take over Wall Street. No, we are supposed to hate the government and love the little guy. The Western world is great because it championed the little guy. And the only time it falters is when it looks to the government for help. This is another great book I highly recommend, Miracles and Massacres. And it's about the true and untold stories of the making of America. Canadians, forget America and just think the West in this book because it covers Western culture and shows that it's the innovators who separated church and state and invented the whole idea of liberty for all of us in the West to enjoy. Here's a crucial passage that Beck noticed when he was done writing the book. After this book was finished, I finally sat back and had a chance to read all their stories together. It was only then that I realized that all of them can be put into one of three categories. The good guys win, the good guys win but it takes a little while, or the good guys lose because people put their trust into politicians instead of each other. In this book, he talks about Wounded Knee, which is pretty much as bad as white males got. But when you read the whole story, you realize it started out relatively equitable, relatively egalitarian. The guys who were transporting these Indians let them carry their own guns and said, look, we know you're not going to shoot us. This is stupid, but we got to get from A to B. Here's your guns, and if anyone attacks us, we'll fight them together. Working out fine till the authorities showed up and said, why are you giving those Indians their guns? You have to confiscate them immediately. And they went, dude. Then they go to confiscate them. The Indians say, I'm not giving you my gun. It's worth as much as a house. That's when the carnage began. That's when women and children were shot. And the military men who were involved in that were disgusted, and it was meticulously documented. That's why we know about this story today, because of the white men and the Indians who were horrified by this. They're still trying to revoke the medals, but Obama is still busy talking about the Washington Redskins as a name. He doesn't seem to care. We have to get mad at authority, not white males. Western chauvinism is a good thing. In fact, to be proud of being Western is to hate the government. Now, I just started this great book, students, but it's already an absolute joy, and it's very similar to Glenn Beck's. In fact, Beck's book inspired this, and it's by Michelle Malkin, and it's called Who Built That? And it basically refutes this whole big government idea that Obama put out when he said, "You didn't build that, Rhodes built that." She talks about the Founding Fathers here and says, "The government built that version of America is anathema to how our Founding Fathers envisioned, pioneered, practiced, and enshrined the progress of science and useful arts. In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the Constitution, they understood that the ability of brilliant, ambitious individuals to reap private rewards for inventions and improvements benefited the public good. From colonial times to the 19th century age of progress, our political leaders and judiciary supported the most generous protections for entrepreneurial patent holders. Mainstream culture celebrated never satisfied rags-to-riches capitalists." So last week I was saying we should venerate the housewife. Let's also venerate the entrepreneur. Let's be proud of the Western world, and let's band together to fight authority, and do it with pride.